Hey Luke, do you like casting news relating to the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping?
Yeah.
Well, good news then. Good Morning American can report Kieran Culkin joins the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping cast as Caesar Flickerman. Do you think that's a good name? Do you think that's like a good name for a character, Caesar Flickerman?
Yeah, it's a great name.
Do you think it sounds kind of gay?
Yeah, well, he is gay.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, move over, Jeremy Strong. Looks like we got a new Succession character playing a gay guy.
Wait, who did Jeremy Strong play?
He actually played he played a gay lawyer in the Trump movie. I told you that he played Donald Trump. He didn't actually play Donald Trump. He played Trump's gay lawyer.
Oh yeah, Roy Cohn.
Yeah, Roy Cohn. Yeah, and the reason, like, what we find out is the reason why Trump is such a bad person is because Roy Cohn tried to fuck him in the ass.
Oh well, I don't blame Trump now, to be honest.
Yeah, and I imagine in the Hunger Games we'll find out the reason why they started the Hunger Games is because Kieran Culkin tried to fuck him in the ass.
Wait, try to fuck who in the ass?
I don't know. Like,
to continue the joke, President Snow, of course.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, he looks like he got some snow ejected straight into his ass. Also, more like he's a dicker man. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been a great cold open.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Luke. And this week we are celebrating the 40-year anniversary of the 1985 classic Gymkata, which is not the name of someone with the first name Jim and the second name Carter. No, it's more like a kind of martial arts style. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Gymkata?
Sure thing, Michael. So, can you just explain what you thought, how you thought this movie was spelt at first then?
So yeah, I thought it was spelled Jim space Carter. Admittedly, like, you know, obviously the solution here would be to pronounce it the way a Japanese person would, which would be, I believe, Gymkata. And then there's no, like, that's simple enough. But unfortunately for me, my accent means, it's just the same.
Well, that's great, Michael. But, of course, the movie is called Gymkata. GYM, and of course that stands for, what does that mean?
Gay, yeah, man. As I believe what it stands for.
Yeah, it doesn't. It stands for gymnastics, or refers to gymnastics rather. And then the Carter, of course, stands for karate.
Yeah, it is a bit weird, isn't it? Because it sounds like when I hear that, and I'm like, oh, it's like, when you see it written down, you're like, oh, like obviously this is some kind of martial arts thing, even though like there's no martial arts thing that actually sounds like kata.
And what I thought you said, sorry, I thought you were going to say, and by the way, there's no martial arts thing called Gymkata.
Oh yeah, there is also no martial arts thing called Gymkata. If anything, like the only thing I'm thinking of is katana, but they don't use a katana in this.
They don't. No, they don't use katanas. No, his fists are katanas.
Yes.
Yes, and come on, make a gay joke.
So, I was going to say, I was thinking that is pretty gay, but I can't think. It's one of those things where sometimes someone says something so gay that you can't actually work out how to up the gayness factor. But yeah, he is. You're right.
Yeah, he is pretty gay. Well, anybody who does gymnastics and who's a man, you already have massive question marks about their sexuality, because if you're that athletic, why not play a real sport,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but anyway, let's get... What a great opening to Gymkata. So, Gymkata is a 1985 martial arts film directed by Robert Close. How do you say that name? Klaus? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I actually didn't see how it's spelled because I don't want to spoil my guesses as to the budget and all that stuff.
Okay, it was based on Dan Tyler's, more like Dan Geiler, or Mangeiler, because he's gay. No, I'm sorry, I'll stop doing this. Dan Tyler Moore's 1957 novel, The Terrible Game.
I was thinking, like, I saw that because it says at the end, I think, it's based on a novel, and I was like, oh, that's an unfortunate title.
Yeah, this should have been called The Terrible Movie, honestly. That would have been fitting. It stars Olympic gymnast Kurt Thomas as the titular character, Jonathan Cabot.
Yes, this is a real gymnast.
Yes. But
if this is in the 1980s, then obviously it doesn't count because this was the one where the Soviets didn't compete, so he probably wouldn't have, been as impressive.
We will get into that. I mean, you don't even know what he did in his career, clearly. No, so we'll get into everything regarding his career, and it is fascinating the fact that he was well, yeah, he was responsible for this movie in a way. Of course, he has the starring role, and how Soviet-US relations also affected his career as a gymnast. But anyway, the movie's screenplay was written by Charles Roberts Carrier, and what a fine job that guy did. It stars Kurt Thomas. Oh god, this fucking name, man. Techi Agabiani. Jesus
Is that the
Christ.
princess?
That'll probably be the princess. Yes, it is.
Cool.
Yes.
I
yes.
let her Techi my Agabianis.
Yeah, Agbayani. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Sorry. I mean, if you appear in this movie, I don't have to get your name right. Richard Norton. Now, that's a much easier name to say.
That's a good old-fashioned English name.
Yeah, Richard Norton as the ethnic Asian Zamir. That's proper good casting right there.
I love that. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't know. Well, maybe I had like an observation about this film, but maybe I should save it for a later point. But it's related very much to this this whitewashing, which we do enjoy of Asian characters.
Honestly, it's less offensive to the Asian culture that one of the characters,
if an Asian was included,
is white. Then we have Edward Bell, who also stars in it, and that's it. Nobody else stars in it, apparently. That's it. So the movie was released on May the 3rd, 1985, and I think now's a good time to talk about why we are reviewing Gymkata, because it's its 40-year anniversary, because of course it came out in 1985. Also, the Karate Kid movie is coming out soon.
Of course.
Yeah, the new Karate Kid movie, which again I don't really know when that's coming out. I'll check in a bit, but we are going to predict the Rotten Tomatoes score for it. But the reason you may be asking, well, why aren't we reviewing the original Karate Kid movie from 1984? We could be doing that.
That's what I was wondering. I have seen that movie, by the way.
Michael, what did I just show you before we got on this call?
I believe you showed me I believe you said they were your best friends talking about a movie. They were called, I think they went by the collective name Cumtown.
Yep, and do you want to give some fucking more info? Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, sorry. Well, I just thought, like, since you were always telling me how, like, you used to hang out with them and, like, you smoke weed or watch movies together, and they said you were just as funny as them, that you know everything.
Okay, but I've never at all claimed to be anything like the stereotype you are ascribing to me.
Anyway, look. So yeah, basically they were just you sent me a thing of them talking about like bad movies. And they mentioned a few bad movies, actually. I can't think if I can remember literally a single other name of the movies they mentioned, even though I think some of them I might know about. But, they spoke quite prominently about this movie. And also, I guess maybe the other movies didn't have an anniversary, so you thought, well, these fellas sound like a funny bunch of lads. Let's, trust their enthusiasm for the hilariousness of this movie. Would that be a fair assessment, Luke?
Yeah, no, I enjoy Cumtown, or I did, of course. It's gone now, R.I.P. And I often
woke. Thanks, Dharma.
Yes, and of course I often watched. I listened to their episodes, but there's a bunch of shit on YouTube regarding compilations basically of their best bits.
Stealing.
Specifically, no. Well, you may say stealing. That's that could be fair, but the channel where I viewed this video is a channel called Clangers TV, and they do a great job of, of course, it's like a commentary track basically from Cumtown of a movie, and Clangers, whoever
they do the editing, which is the hardest part of anything. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, he edits in whatever, like the trio are talking about the Cum trio. Whatever they're talking about, whatever movie they're talking about, you have the footage of the movie over the top of their audio. I think Clangers does a really good job, and of course he uploaded a video where or she. No, it's definitely he. I think it's Nick who basically talks about his experience watching Gymkata and how he couldn't really finish it because he was so hammered. And we're going to do the job for him. We're going to. I was like, well, we got to review this movie because he talked about it for like 6 minutes, and what he described was quite funny. So I was like, let's review it. And I saw on Wikipedia it had a cult following and is regarded as one of the worst movies of all time. I think on someone's list it was number 17.
Yeah, I saw it was those honest trailer guys, like they did a video about it. And I was like, that's kind of surprising because I feel like they usually do like videos that get a whole load of clicks.
Oh yeah, they did. They did do a movie,
Yeah.
a review about it. Oh fuck! Because I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Everyone's on the Gymkata bandwagon now.
I know, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And yeah, we're
That's
hopping
what I
on.
was surprised to see, because usually, like, they haven't done one on I Am Sam or radio.
Yeah, I wonder why they decided to do one on Gymkata. Because again,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they're Cumtown fans. Although, like you said, if they are Cumtown fans, they would have done a review of or an honest trailer of I Am Sam. So did you enjoy their commentary track on Gymkata?
Yeah, I would say, like I would say maybe we could improve on it on some areas, like talking about the ending. But yeah, it was thoroughly entertaining.
Was it
And
thoroughly entertaining?
I think I preferred their review of what was that other movie? The other movie reviewed, Time to Kill. I thought it was I think that was like funnier because like there was like there was more like commentary stuff there, whereas in this movie it's kind of like it's hard to like when you're describing what's happening. Like a lot of it's like silly action and stuff. So I'm not saying it's like I'm just saying like sometimes you know what I'm saying. You know how like you
No, I
would
don't.
agree with me, don't you? That
No, I
to kill,
don't.
how Time to Kill was better. You would agree with me, wouldn't you, Luke? Everyone would agree with me.
Yeah, I think their review of A Time to Kill is better because I think that's a more serious movie.
Yeah, okay,
and it's
that's
like
it, yeah.
it's meant to be.
Yeah, because with this movie you can kind of like you almost feel slightly, not like entirely. I'm not saying it's a comedy, but you kind of feel like you're laughing along with it in that it's not serious.
Yeah, that's meant to be a serious racial drama starring like Samuel L. Jackson and Matthew McConaughey, and it's just so fucking stupid. Oh, what a great movie, man! That's a movie that could have only existed in the 90s. Oh god, what a great decade for movies. But yeah, similarly, I think this movie could have only existed in the 80s. This is a very 80s movie because, of course, you got the Cold War conflict and just the the action style. Well, we've explained why we are reviewing Gymkata, so let us now ask you, Michael, what do you think the budget was for Gymkata?
Well, I mean, the thing is, there are like set pieces and stuff. Like they did actually have to like do some stuff. Like they had to get costumes and things like that. They had to get like a proper, like it's kind of weird when you think about this movie. Like they had to get like a proper Olympic guy to star in this film. This wasn't just like something that some guy.
Sorry.
made.
Could you say that again? What did you call him?
An Olympic guy.
Yeah, no, a proper Olympic guy.
Oh yeah, a proper Olympic guy, as opposed to one of those like fake Olympic guys. And all of that together is like that implies some degree of enthusiasm and like sincere effort behind this movie. I don't know, like I'm gonna say maybe this is retarded. I'm gonna say like 5 million.
Well, here's the thing, Michael. I don't know because it's not on Wikipedia.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna assume I'm right.
So I just thought it'd be funny if I let you,
Yeah.
debate, that in your head, and then I don't know. But we do actually have the box office numbers.
Okay, good.
For Gymkata.
I have literally no idea about that. So I don't think this movie did very well at all. Like I can't imagine that many people. I don't know. Did people come out and like see this movie? No, surely not. I mean, again, the fact that like there was some like everything I said about the budget, I think there must have been some like effort to advertise this because like it has an Olympic guy in it and stuff. But I literally just can't imagine. Fuck. Let's just say the same number again. 5 million, whatever.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very good guess. 5.7 million. So yeah, 5.7 million. Again, we would have never reviewed this movie if it wasn't for Cumtown. And to be honest, the honest trailer for Gymkata, I really kind of want to watch it because I want to know why they created it. Maybe they were inspired by Cumtown, honestly. Because
I have watched the honest trailer, by the way, and I have no idea. So yeah, I've seen the honest trailer, and it didn't offer any insight as to why they, apart from obviously the fact like they have the thing where they flash up like people asking for it.
Yeah,
there were some people who were
okay.
asking for it.
So, Michael, we're finally going to get into our review of this movie. So, tell me, did you like Gymkata?
Well, no. It's an interesting question because obviously, like we're going to talk about like how funny was this movie. I've always been someone who says, well, like basically I don't really factor that into my review in terms of like I don't say, oh, this movie's so terrible, I'm going to say it's like an 8 out of 10 because it's just so funny how terrible it is. So I'm going to say I didn't like it. This movie, I don't think it's the funniest movie in the world, but it is quite entertaining in a stupid way. But yeah, it's just no and not particularly close to liking it is the answer, Luke.
Yeah. So I often do factor in, so bad it's good, into my movie reviewing, I guess, formula. And this movie, I'd say, was pretty funny at times, there were some good lines of dialogue. There were some moments which made me laugh, but overall it's just quite shit.
I was kind of like, there were moments where I was kind of bored, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, like what is funny is the whole concept or the whole premise of like gymnastics and karate, being combined. Like, I guess maybe the fucking guy who wrote the novel, Dan Tyler Moore, thought about combining gymnastics and martial arts, but I don't know. It seems like a very 80s concept, so maybe that combination was done for the movie. But yeah, it just, that's the thing. It's funny to say that, or to say like, wow, there's this movie where this guy is a gymnast and he does like martial arts and it's called Gymkata, and like there's all this other weird shit that happens in the movie. But you actually watch it, and a lot of the time it's pretty just shit. Like it's not like boring, because it's at a level of it's so bad that it can't really be boring, because every scene it's like, wow, this is terrible, and that keeps you interested. But it doesn't rise to the level of being so bad it's good. Like, oh, this is so funny, I can't believe what I'm watching, like we've seen with other movies that we have reviewed. To be honest, it's been a while since we've reviewed a really bad movie that's made me be like, wow, this is so bad it's good. Maybe we got all those out of the way.
Yeah, I feel like the last, I mean, again, probably just because I mentioned it, the last one I really remember being like, this is actually hilarious. Like, and there was no doubt in my mind, like, I was like, I am enjoying how bad this was, or was Radio. I don't know if we reviewed one since then, but I just remember, like, I was like, this is actually really funny.
Yeah, Radio was a good one. Yeah. Well, I think any movie that features the mentally ill.
That is basically it, yeah.
Yeah, we got a good chance of finding.
If only this was called Gymtarded.
Honestly, it could have been. But yeah, so we'll get into Gymkata now. But yeah, basically to sum up, I don't think it's really that entertaining, but it's not boring either. And there are some good moments here and there, which we will get to. There are some good lines of dialogue, and in particular, what happens at the end, or the ending shot, shall we say.
Yeah, I also found the ending shot really interesting.
I found that very funny. So yeah, let's get to the review, Mike. Oh, sorry, before we get into it, nitpicks, how many do you have?
I have one, I believe. Let me just confirm.
Okay.
Yep.
You go first.
Yes, okay, yeah. So basically, when he's like climbing that rope and the guy sets fire to the rope, and he has to like climb really quickly because the fire's climbing up behind him, he oh dear, I did that thing where I weirdly choke. He really easily could have just switched to another rope. Like, there was a rope right next to him, and I was like thinking, in my head, I actually like had faith this movie made sense. So I was like, well, obviously that's going to be the way he gets out of it. Like, he's gonna just jump to another rope because that's like exciting. But then I was like, oh nope, never mind. So yeah, there we go. This is one of those movies where nitpicking it feels kind of stupid, but that was one moment I was like, that's like a small enough thing where I'm like, yeah, this can be a nitpick.
Yeah, I like I said, I have two. One of them is that all the do you remember the name of the country?
Oh, Parmesan?
Yeah.
Like, it makes, I don't know why it makes me think like chicken parm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the review of Gymkata by Cumtown, which we may reference throughout this review, Star found that really funny. Like, that the country was called Parmesan. It does sound kind of like a...
Of course, he found the food thing funny.
Yeah. It does sound like a parody of like a Central Asian country.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason in Parmesan they all speak English, which I don't think is that realistic, to be honest.
Yeah. I will say, okay, one thing, I know I said I had a thing about the dating. I can't be able to sit on this thing anymore. The one thing I was finding interesting about this movie, because as you know, Luke, as you very much know about me, I'm a very big fan of like old swords and sandals movies, like the Jason and the Argonauts from the 1960s and stuff like that. And what I found kind of strange is that from like the 1950s through to the 1980s, any kind of like action adventure movie set in a foreign country, they are literally indistinguishable. Like, I was like watching this, I was thinking this could literally be like that 1950s Sinbad movie where he goes and has like this like Arab sorcerer, and he's like very clearly played by a white guy, and he's like he has a line where he's like, Allah has ways of dealing with his enemies. And he's like, anyway, but I was like, it's literally identical. I was like, that's so crazy that just in the one specific area of what, how are we going to present this like Middle Eastern or like African country or whatever, or like East Asian, they were like from 1950 to 1980, they were just like, yeah, we're doing this absolutely fine. We don't need to change anything.
Well, this is Central Asia, of course.
Oh yeah, okay. Central Asia, I'm going to call that in the Middle East, Luke, and you can't stop me.
Well, they wouldn't.
Yeah, so it's the Hindu Kush, isn't it?
It's the well-known Hindu Kush region.
See, my understanding isn't that like basically Kashmir? In which case, I like the idea of how crazy it would be to just start another country there. Like, I think there's already enough issues going on in that place.
Yeah. So my next nitpick, I love this, man. So So the CIA guy, or sorry, the SIA guy, my apologies, is explaining to fucking Cabot that there is they have to go to this town called Carabel on the Caspian Sea, and then obviously Cabot's looking at the Asian lady, whatever she's called, and he goes, "Hey, what did I just say? Where are you going?" And Cabot says, "Carabel on the Caspian Sea," and literally the next scene.
It says Carabel, Caspian Sea. And like
the next scene, when they go to Carabel, it says in massive subtitles, "Carabel on the Caspian Sea."
I didn't, you know what? Yeah, like now you mention it, because like I kind of noticed that. Like I knew exactly where you're going. I was like, yeah, I do remember seeing that. It's brilliant.
So, in case you didn't get it, this town is on the Caspian Sea. I just found that very funny. Oh god. So yeah, that's my nitpick. Which again, that's well, it's not really a nitpick. It's a lit pick rather, because that made me laugh. And there are not that many moments that did, but that was one of them. So let us now get onto the plot.
John Cabot, an Olympic gymnast, combines his gymnastic ability with martial arts to enter a deadly competition in the fictional country Parmistan, which has not been won by anyone other than a native in more than 900 years. It has developed a minor cult following as an unintentional comedy for its dubious premise, poor production quality, and strange setting. Kind of racist. I would say it's a normal setting.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a Central Asian country, which is kind of medieval, and there's he's just running.
They ride
around,
horses.
Yeah, he's just running around the woods a lot. So yeah, it is kind of strange. Like, not many Hollywood movie. Well, I don't know. Even is this Hollywood? Probably. I don't know if where else they would have made movies in the 80s. But yeah, you don't see many movies set in this region of the world. And it's weird because obviously we know it's the 1980s because it's the Cold War, and fucking Cabot's wearing all these 80s jumpers, and has that mullet, but it could very well be like the Middle Ages, based on where Parmesan is actually, well, how Parmesan actually looks, because with the ninjas and the fact that there's no guns as well. So yeah, it is strange in that regard, I guess. But that's what makes it funny. And obviously the production quality is really bad. Like, some of the shots in this movie are just awful.
You know what, Luke? I honestly, I hate to say it, but I think they could have done better. It's actually interesting. You say there were like no other movies set in this place. I just checked, and because there's a movie, a very well reviewed movie actually, called The Man Who Would Be King, which is about a person who ventures to this very same region to basically prop himself up as, like, like that story, like a white person goes to like a place where everyone's like not white and just becomes accepted as a god. This man goes over there to do that, and that movie was, like I say, very well reviewed. So it shows clearly, like they could have done that. They could have had something great, and instead they thought, well, let's go for Gymkata.
Yeah, The Man Who Would Be King is the exception that proves the rule.
Exactly,
and that's what I say when I get stuff wrong. But yeah, no. Let's talk about the premise, because. Yes. It developed a minor cult following as an unintentional comedy. Again, there are some funny moments throughout the movie, and for its dubious premise, because the premise is quite funny. Of course, we talked about the gymnastics and the karate and the combination, and that's quite funny. That's one part of the premise which makes it interesting, shall we say, and we'll get into that more later. But also another part of the premise, the fact that there's this game that you win, and the king grants you a wish, and
yes.
Whatever whatever you want, he gives it to you, which is interesting. There's no limit apparently. So what if you said, "Hey, I want to be king, I want to be the Khan"? What happens then? I don't know.
Yeah. Also, can I just so I don't think we ever get explained. Do you, if you are a native who wins, then do you also get this wish? Because like the implication is that natives win like quite often. So it's like, well, yeah. So it seems like for a native.
Like, the implication, they're like, no one other than a native has won in 900 years.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because like if that's the case, then obviously it means, because obviously you could say, well, maybe the reason why they have this really insane reward is because like nobody's ever won before, or like basically the rule would only apply to foreigners, and that's why it can be so insane, because no one has done it. Yeah,
I don't think that's the case. No, but yeah. So I actually think the premise could actually be interesting in that, because it's like, you have these rules, and in terms of how to play the game, you have to do these specific things. And often in these like action movies, there are obviously no rules. There's not a game going on. So, when there's like a chase scene, or a scene where two people are fighting, or one person's trying to get somewhere, you don't have these parameters going
Yes.
on, where and the parameters can make things interesting because it's like, oh, he can't attack him until he gets here or something, or once he gets to this place, he's safe, and it creates just that additional level of drama, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to say what I was thinking of. A very obvious one is the older Mortal Kombat. You know, like basically, you know, how do you set up a scenario if you just want to have an action movie? Okay, there's like a competition where, I mean, obviously there are other like action movies that have the premise of like a competition.
No, but competitions are boring because
Yeah, this is more like an obstacle course.
Well, yeah, exactly. But competitions are kind of boring because it's like, oh yeah, two people are fighting, so it's you know it's a competition, quote unquote. But there's no difference. But here it's like, oh yeah, if you get to a certain zone, you're safe, you know. And it's kind of like the Hunger Games in that regard. This one is more like structured, how the game is played in this movie. But yeah, Hunger Games and all the battle royale concept is like obviously it's last man standing or last woman standing, of course, because that's what happens in the Hunger Games. I actually can't remember. Is she the last one standing?
Oh, look, you've missed. Yeah, there's a really clever twist. They try and kill themselves. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. That's good. Like Romeo and Juliet. Great stuff.
Yes.
Every fucking woman writes a book and it's always about Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's like, and literally like that was written by a man. How embarrassing for women.
Wait, what?
Oh, it's like as in sorry, Romeo and Juliet was written by a man.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you could say Hunger Games was. I was like, I swear it was a woman. But yeah, so. So that's why I think, you know, honestly, because of these parameters, because like, oh, it's like a battle, it's like an action movie, but with these rules in place, and these rules are, of course, you know, they are, you know, genuine. They're not like shit rules, because, you know, the whole point is there is a game going on, and games have rules. You know, you can create something interesting here, but the movie kind of failed to do that because, like, you know, they really didn't dive into the concept of like the game, of like, oh, this is what you have to do on certain points, and you know, they didn't really get into the detail, which I guess, you know, is to be expected because it's a shit movie. But I think it's the same kind of concept in fucking Squid Game, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I was actually surprised at how like chill, like, because obviously we're first introduced to the king, and he's just like, oh, you know, I have to go play king for these people. And I was like, I was expecting this guy to be a psycho. He's surprisingly chill for a guy who organizes a game.
Well, no. I mean, he doesn't. It's been going on for like years and years.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I guess like
I apologize, Luke.
He's just continuing the tradition. But yeah, you could have this concept where maybe it's not been going for 900 years. Maybe this dictator has, you know, done it, or this rich, powerful person, you know, because like, oh, it'd be really funny, you know, just have like some nice afternoon entertainment, like fucking Squid Game. That's kind of the point of Squid Game.
I mean, to be fair, like, I do think, you know, like, everyone complains about the olden days and all that. I do think that back in the day, well, let's be honest, you couldn't really have prisons because, you know, like, how people are struggling to eat. How are they going to like keep a bunch of prisoners alive? I think probably the best way to deal with it is to like have some kind of fight to the death, because you get the end. Like that's I support the Romans and all the other people who are like, yeah, you know, you're a prisoner, right? You get your chance, fight to the death.
Yeah, but as long as there's a chance of actually surviving, otherwise it's shit. Like if you're against a bunch of lions, then you know you're not going to win. But that's the thing.
Or 100 prisoners versus a gorilla. I have the new hit thing.
Yeah, the Romans should have done that. They should have answered that question.
Oh my god! Like that's I've literally thought that before. I've been like, I would just like they should have done some experiments. Like, you know, at least the Nazis.
Yeah, but yeah, shall we get into the script now?
Jonathan Cabot is approached by the Special Intelligence Agency, the SIA, of course, to play the game in the country of Palmerston. Now, Luke, obviously, I just lost the game, which is unfortunate. I haven't lost that since I was much younger. But yeah, obviously, an inciting incident. You kind of went on your little thing about the competition aspect, but it's worth noting this is also an espionage movie, and I think that's also like not a bad. In fact, I think that's also a thing in Mortal Kombat as well. At least one of them, where it's like you're participating in the competition, but obviously you're actually doing it so you can become something of an inside man.
Well, that's the thing. It's not espionage though. I mean, it's espionage in terms of he has to get into the country somehow, and the SIA, not the CIA, who backed this movie absolutely, which we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, the SIA have to get him into the country, but you know, while he's there, he doesn't have to do any spy shit. Like, you know, he has to win the game. You know, there's nothing else. Well, you know, the fucking Zamir's trying to do a coup or whatever, but like he doesn't have to like do anything. You know, James Bond-esque. And that's the thing. At times, you know, because he gets the girl right away inside the first 10 minutes. He doesn't even have to work hard for her.
Yeah, I was thinking that seemed like so rushed to me.
I know. Well, yeah, obviously, because it's just really shit. But yeah, so this guy, he you know, is kind of a shitty James Bond for like the first 30 minutes, and then once he gets inside Palmerston, it's like, oh yeah, no need for any more espionage. Time to show why I'm here with my insane gymnastics skills. That's why I'm here. So yeah, I do think that in terms of the first 10 minutes, so much happens. Like you get loads of exposition in the first 10 minutes. I think Nick pointed this out in the review. Like there's just
Yes.
no fucking around. There's no tension at all. It's like, why am I here? Oh, well, we want you to do this. Okay, I'll do it. Like,
Yeah.
this gymnast is told, you are going to become a CIA operative.
SIA.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Every single time I'm going to correct.
Yeah, and gets asked, hey, do you got any questions about this, what we want you to do? And he's just like, nope. I'm ready to become a tool of the state, just like that, even though I'm a successful gymnast who's probably got a pretty good life. No, I'm fine with risking my life for my country, because that's just what you do when the CIA come knocking.
Yeah, if you're a good person.
Yeah, he's just so cool with it. I mean, or maybe being a gymnast is just that, shitty. Like nobody respects you. It's like, oh yeah, I'm an athlete. Oh, what'd you do? Like football, baseball, basketball. No, I'm a gymnast, and everybody just starts laughing at you. Maybe that's why he's like, no, I got to prove that I'm cool. So yeah, I'll do what the CIA tells me to do. There is this line where the other side is referenced by the agent. Who could that other side be?
No, I think it must be the Soviet Union. I was gonna say something that's not the answer, but the actual answer, Luke, is the Soviet Union are the other side, or maybe China, or maybe some amalgamation of China and the Soviet Union working together since they were such good buddies.
Yeah. It's just like Top Gun, how Top Gun never references the Soviet Union.
Yeah, I do think that is kind of fun, just like it's our generic enemies.
Well, maybe because this movie was funded by the CIA, so it was too close to home, so they couldn't call the agency the CIA, because that would get people, that would let people into why this movie was created in the first place.
Yes.
So let's go with SIA instead. And yeah, we won't call them the Russians. We'll call them the other side. So nobody knows. Nobody
so
knows.
Even Russians can enjoy this movie.
Yes.
Go, come on, get that other side. I don't like them.
Yes. Nobody knows they're watching American propaganda here. They did this very well, very skillfully here. I also love when he gives the Wikipedia answer on where Parmistan is. It's like, do you know anything about Parmistan? And he's like, yeah. It's a small country in the Hindu Kush region in Central Asia. Like just right off Wikipedia,
Yeah, I like. I also it's like it's a very obvious, like exposition answer in that. Well, yeah, obviously you would just say, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any situation where you ask someone like a question like that and they would just say where it is. Unless I think the one way you could write that better is if he's like not sure. I mean, not this is worth making suggestions how to improve this movie, but like you can imagine if I said like, hey Luke, do you know where Hungary is? And you'd be like, oh yeah, it's below Slovakia, right? And I'd be like, yeah, it is.
Okay, well, that's some good geography.
That's some good advice right there.
Yeah. It's in Central Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like a normal kind of way of being like, oh, let me clarify. See, that's it. That's how you write exposition.
Yeah, some great exposition.
Give us money, the CIA. Come on.
Okay. No, sorry, the SIA. Well, as you'll see.
No, so the CIA is going to be funding us, is what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but we won't. Yeah, we promise if you give us a load of money to write our dream movie, we won't even mention CIA in it.
And do you know who the CIA also funded?
Top Gun. Oh, okay, sorry. Speaking of the CIA, the SIA wants Cabot to win the game so that he can use his wish. It's so funny. It's like makes me think of like Aladdin to install a US satellite monitoring station, which could monitor all satellites in space and act as an early warning system in case of a nuclear attack. Cabot is told that the system could save millions of lives. You know what else could save millions of lives? Not having nuclear weapons in the first place.
Yeah, but no, we have to. Well, we have to do that because the US are the good guys. They just want this satellite monitoring station to save millions of lives.
Yeah.
While those damn Ruskies, they're the bad guys, and they'd use it to endanger millions of lives. You see, that's the difference between them and us. You see, and that's not propaganda. That's actually what happened. In real life, the Americans were always the good guys, and the Russians were always trying to start wars with the Americans. And thankfully it never happened because of heroes like Jonathan Cabot. But the wish thing is it's so weird. Like it's kind of like Aladdin, like you said. You have a wish, and what's this wish? To install a US satellite monitoring station, like the most modern thing,
I know.
The most modern geopolitical thing. So it's a nice bit of propaganda, but actually, here's the thing. This whole game concept. Why this guy is entering this game in Parmistan? I guess you have to create a reason why he would. Although you could find another reason, to be honest. But actually, what the CIA would do in this instance is back the rebels, which of course Zamir this
Yeah,
right
that's a
guy.
good point, actually, Luke. You are right.
Yes, I know. I'm always right, Michael. But
I'm
the
beginning to realise that.
I love how we're getting into the serious
Geopolitics.
yeah, serious talk about how the CIA are all, the organization is completely morally bankrupt, as it always has been, and pushes out propaganda that should not be trusted, and people just think this is a shitty meme movie. No, it's a tool of the imperialist West. Gymkata is. And that's because that's the thing. Like the CIA, they'd back Zamir, they'd back the rebels, they'd stage a coup and allow the rebels to take over Pakistan. Because again, because nobody in Palmerston is allowed to have guns, so it'd be pretty easy to mount a coup. And yeah, then they'd do a deal with the rebels for the satellite, and they wouldn't bother with this stupid fucking game. What happens in the alternative ending? Cabot dies, and the CIA were like, they're not like, well, I guess the Russians are going to have this satellite monitoring system, and we're not going to get it. No, they just staged the coup.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it would be really funny if like they lost. Yeah, there's no way they'd be like, okay, well, try not best.
And I'm calling out the propaganda in Gymkata, Michael, and it's high time somebody did.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I mean, I think they've been getting away, 40 years? Think about all the people who've signed up to the CIA based on seeing this movie.
Yeah.
And they haven't, because they've been thinking, I can't believe the CIA wouldn't support violent terrorists.
Yeah, I know.
Or, rebels. Let's not use the T word.
Yeah. I love I love the there's this line where the CIA guy says, other countries are training their athletes for this as well. Like, forget the Olympics or whatever. This is what it's all about, the Palmerston Games. And but why would you? Okay, let's talk about this for a bit now. Why would you take a gymnast? Why? Because look, obviously they're athletic, but they don't know martial arts. You have to teach them martial arts. Wouldn't it be better to get someone who actually knows martial arts, and then have them do a fucking exercise course or whatever? Wouldn't that be better? Surely you just take somebody who's really good at like karate.
Yes, you would absolutely think so, because the good news is I guess they knew that it would only take about 10 minutes to train him up. They were like, we need this gymnast because all the other guys, we try and train them, it takes like half a movie. This one is a 10-minute montage and we're done. So he's the best we've got.
Well, let's talk about
worst option.
Let's talk about his father actually, because that's an extra incentive.
Yes, as an extra incentive, Cabot is also told that his father, who went missing, was actually an SIA operative who was sent to play the game, but was never heard from again. So that's obviously a little bit of backstory.
Was his father also a gymnast?
His father before him was a gymnast. It's a miracle he managed to have any children, frankly.
Oh yeah, because they're all gay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't realize that you could have a baby pushed out of another man's arsehole.
Right. Or they all damaged their balls on the pummel horse,
So yeah.
Yeah, no, but they managed to survive. Yeah, a whole generation, a whole family of gymnasts. Oh god, it's so. But yeah, was the CIA like grooming this John Cabot guy? Making sure he could play the game like his dad. And
I guess so.
Yeah. Or like, this guy, he's doing very well in the Olympics for the US. We know who we're going to send to Palmerston next. To act like this movie is anywhere close to having a good character development is a joke. But let's just go through this. So Cabot is told that this is what actually happened to your dad who went missing probably, I don't know, like 10 years ago. I'm not sure. They never say. And he doesn't care that this game is the reason why he's missing. His dad is missing. That's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. He's finally found this answer. He could, of course, suffer the same fate as his dad. And he also doesn't resent the CIA for putting his dad in this position either. He's a good American. He's a good patriot. So he does not care.
Honestly, though, I think the best patriots are poorly written patriots. I think, someone who just says, like, basically someone who hears information and is like, oh, thank you. That's relevant to my backstory. Anyway, on to defeating the generic bad guys. And also, I guess the good news is, I suppose maybe, so is the logic supposed to be
There's
like
no
revenge? Okay, sorry. Is the logic supposed to be there?
The logic is you do whatever the CIA tell you to do. That's the logic. The CIA want you to replace your dad who died under mysterious circumstances, or at least is probably dead. You just do it because you do it for America, because that's what you're meant to do, because you're a patriot. So it doesn't matter that you're a gymnast and you're an Olympic gymnast, who's got a pretty good life, and you're going to risk your life for your country and probably die like your dad did, and you have no qualms about any of that. So thumbs up, let's go, America, fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Greatest country in the motherfucking world, yeah. Speaking of like hardcore music, after a training period of a martial arts teacher, a stereotypical Japanese guru, and a beautiful Parmesan princess named Rubali, who just stares at him from a window all day, Kaba is deemed ready. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They just get like two guys to just be like, "Yep, this is how you do it."
Yeah, I think Nick in the review described. I love how I'm calling him Nick like he's my friend, because he is my friend.
Here's exactly yeah.
Nick Mullin, to be more formal, said, yeah, that his trainers are like Mr. T, and it's like Mr. T, and then like this Japanese guy with a hawk, and
Yes.
like it's just the shittest training montage ever. Like
They really like there was a real obligation for them. You get the sense.
Yeah, the Japanese guru is saying some generic Eastern bullshit, and like then it cuts to Cabot doing a handstand up some stairs. And then oh god! And remember when he gets up to the top of the stairs, the Japanese guy grabs his legs and starts shaking them. It's like, what the fuck is going on there, man?
That's how you train someone up, obviously.
Oh, god. So yeah, it's just a really funny few minutes. Apparently 2 months has gone by. So the princess, let's talk about her. She doesn't look like the rest of the what are they called again? The fucking
Parmesanios.
Yeah, because she's obviously from
Her mum's Indonesian.
Yeah, but that's the thing, they throw in that line. That's clearly been added in post. Her mother's Indonesian, don't you know? Why is this princess? Okay, it's never explained throughout the entire movie. I was thinking it would be at some point because it's a pretty big detail. This princess, why is she in America? Like,
I was thinking that. Like, it's one of those things where like it's a really big thing to their advantage that's just casually glossed over.
Yeah, here's the Princess of Parmesan. So obviously, Zamir is trying to overthrow the king, and the daughter doesn't like it. I guess she's going to be queen, but she probably doesn't want to see her dad overthrown. Okay, but like, why? How has she escaped to America? How has she done that? And how did she get connected to the CIA? How did that happen? Like, again.
The more I think about, like you said, like, oh, they probably just support the rebels. I'm like, what I'm imagining is she like shows them, like, hey, don't support the rebels. Here's a much better idea.
Yeah.
And she like has, imagine like all the CIA directors she had to bang.
Yeah.
To not have her country be overthrown.
Yeah, she goes to the CIA. Don't support the rebels. Have you? Do you like gymnastics? Because I've got a great plan. We train up this gymnast, and then he'll win, and then I'll bang him, and we'll live happily ever after. And that's the thing. Like, he just walks up to her and just kisses her. Like, it's kind of, I don't know if they're trying to do like a James Bond thing, but the thing with James Bond is he's actually charismatic, and he's also kind of good looking. Like, this guy's got a fucking awful mullet, and it just like is so uncharismatic, and he's doing these weird flips back and forth to impress her.
Like that's the thing. It was very like, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, it's like kind of a funny, like he's literally like imitating her voice. It's basically I think we actually need to appreciate how lame that scene is, because
it is so lame.
She doesn't talk to him, which is already a pretty bad situation to be in. So what he decides to do is have a conversation with himself, flipping back and forth. Like literally flipping back and forth, and when he's pretending to be her, he puts on a high-pitched woman's voice, and this,
he does it very
as
well.
I'm sure we all agree it would in any situation, endears her to him.
I'd just be like, what a fucking weirdo!
Yeah,
who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is he doing? Like, you could just turn around, but no, I'm gonna flip back and forth like I'm a fucking like Sonic the Hedgehog or something. I don't know. Like, is there a cartoon character that flips around? I don't know.
I guess Crash Bandicoot flips. To be fair, a lot of them flip, but let's say Crash Bandicoot.
But I'm gonna flip around like a fucking cartoon character.
Yeah. Crash Bandicoot always goes, wow.
Yeah. It's that his game. Ironically, his game is quite bad.
Yeah, and his game is just in the toilet. Can
you imagine James Bond doing that, flipping back and forth to seduce a girl?
I think that you're not talking to me, so I'll do an impression of you. That's pretty sexy, James.
Yeah, it works all the time.
Oh dear. Cabot travels to Carabao on the Caspian Sea. While in Carabao on the Caspian Sea, he is attacked by terrorists who kidnap Rubali. Cabot, in his bright red jumper, covertly and quickly raids the terrorist training center, and using his unstoppable Gymkata fighting style that combines gymnastics with karate, easily disables dozens of terrorists as none of them have guns before rescuing the princess. Yeah, this is good. That was one thing which I kind of felt was a bit underexplored, which is like, where exactly does this happen? I don't know.
I believe
if you pick that up
around the Caspian Sea area, maybe Carabao, which is on the Caspian Sea.
Now, isn't that a football tournament?
What?
Carabao.
Oh, you mean Carabao?
Yeah.
No, that's where Rubani's from. Because Carabao is from where is it from? It's like from
Indonesia, Malaysia.
no Thailand, I think.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say actually because I guess they wouldn't have beer from Muslim countries.
No, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so let's talk about this. So Gymkata, I do karate. Oh wow, that's cool. With gymnastics. Wait, what? Can you just do the karate? Nope. It's a combination of
Well,
both.
I mean, have you seen the classic Family Guy skit that's like Karate Kids in a realistic high school, and it's like you're going down in that karate tournament. No, you're going down. You kids do karate. You're both fucking losers.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I guess the
And
only,
so imagine that combining
yes,
karate with fucking gymnastics. Yeah, it's like how would you make that cool, like that concept? But yeah, it just I don't think you can be a secret espionage or a CIA operative and also possess gymnastic skills. You know, that's like a side character's job, not the main character who's meant to be again this kind of James Bond stand-in. You can't do that. And also like this fighting style, I think we pointed it out previously, but it does not exist.
yes.
How could he?
But maybe that gives him an advantage because they'd be like, oh, I'm ready to go up against this. I know all of the fighting styles that exist.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He's just like flipping around, and thankfully there's like a gymnastic like equipment everywhere. There's a pommel horse and then there's the high beams. Where he can flip around. That's very convenient for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just such a shitty, funny concept, honestly.
Yeah, I did want to say because let's touch on the old question like how bad is this movie, which you could say is the point of review. Because I was thinking to myself I've seen one or two of those Jackie Chan kung fu movies from the 80s, and a lot of those are pretty silly, but I would say they're actually good movies, where he's fighting in a market square and he's throwing food in people's faces and doing all sorts of cool set pieces. And it got me thinking is this at all good? Is there any sense in which the fact he's doing all this karate and fighting these guys and are there any I'm trying to rack in my brain here, are there any action moments where it's just oh wow, that's that was a cool little move he did?
Well, not really, because he's just the best bits are when he's on the pommel horse and the high beams. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, which we already see him do anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, and obviously they're just in the movie because he's a gymnast and he can do that. But it feels so contrived. It feels so set up. It feels so inauthentic. So yeah, I don't think it's good. But we will now talk about Kurt Thomas, the actual. He's an actual gymnast in real life.
The actual Gymkata master.
Yes, and we'll go into his background and why they picked him for this movie.
Yeah, well, did you know that he actually became the first US male gymnast to win gold at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championship in 1979?
By the way, that's just so cool. You want your action hero to compete at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championship.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah. That's pretty It's I guess he really expressed himself emotionally very well.
All the kids want to be him. Yeah.
Yeah. In 19 was it men want to be him, women want to be with him. In 1979, he won 6 medals at the World Championship, setting the record for most medals won at a single World Championship by an American gymnast, a feat matched only by Simone Biles in 2018. However,
wait, slow the foot down. Are you joking?
I get it's Simone Biles. I thought she was black, so I'm glad I got that right.
Okay, so I think you do know who she is then, because she is one of the most famous athletes in America. And,
has she done anything important apart from beat gymnastics though?
Well, no, not really.
Yeah, there's not a drama around there, is there? It was just her name was mentioned during the Olympics and stuff.
Yeah, and remember at one point, which Olympics was it? The Tokyo ones where she quit and didn't do an event because she wasn't in the right mental state, and she got called brave for it, and it became a culture, war thing.
I think that would make sense because I definitely remember seeing people being oh, there was some kind of culture around her, because
people were oh, she's very brave, and then you had right wingers be well, the fact that she's black and a woman, I think doesn't, well, it kind of meant they wanted to make this argument or were encouraged to, but yeah, she's America down, she's failed this country, the fact that she didn't compete for the medals, but yeah, I do think that she is pretty damn famous, and so you definitely should have heard of her.
Yeah, I have heard of her. I just thought it'd be fun to say her name wrong.
We're talking about Kurt Thomas. Let's continue.
Yes, so... However, despite these great achievements, he is best known for starring in Gymkata, where he earned a Razzie nomination for Worst New Star and was poorly received by critics. Yeah, that is kind of unfortunate. I guess it just goes to show that, this is a DEI situation, right? He was, basically super good.
Yeah.
And then Simone Biles comes in there, says that she's triggered by like, slavery or whatever. Like that's why she's like in a bad emotional state. And
Yeah.
suddenly, like she's like the famous one for gymnastics, and this poor guy is just famous for being shit.
Yeah, well, so that's what's funny. Like, he's this incredible gymnast, but he's famous for this shitty movie. That's what most people will recognize him from. But let's talk about Michael. Let's talk about this guy, because you know your history. So, what year did he win all those medals?
I guess like what, 80? Did it actually say in the thing?
It said, so fucking read it. You fucking
Yeah, I know. I deleted it to avoid. Well, okay, so yeah, that's the thing though, because none of these were in the Olympics, were they? Because it says 79.
They weren't in the Olympics. He did compete in the Olympics in 76, didn't win any medals, but he was the best in the world in 1979. So you'd assume in the next Olympics in 1980 he would have done very well.
I would assume that, Luke, and I would be horrified to discover that my assumptions are wrong, because, well, that would just make me sad.
So, why do you think he didn't win any medals in 1980?
Oh, I just didn't mention it on the in the thing that you like sent me, so I just assumed it would be mentioned if he did.
No, I didn't put it in the little paragraph I sent you. So go and tell me, why did he not win any medals in 1980?
Because the Soviets were competing.
Well, they weren't just competing, were they?
It was hosted in the oh fucking hell yeah, like the the USA boycotted it, didn't they?
Yes, the US boycotted the 1980 Olympics in Moscow, preventing this guy Kurt Thomas from winning any medals.
Yes.
And by the time 1984 came around,
he was old. He'd hit the wall.
He'd hit the wall, which is real.
He suffered twink death.
That's an actual thing in gymnastics. Like any gymnast past like 25 or something, it's like, yeah, you've got no chance, because you just lose that flexibility.
Yes.
And
so you're saying it's too late for me.
Yes, unfortunately. So yeah, which made Simone Biles winning in 2024 in Paris so incredible, because she was quite old. But anyway, so yeah, the Cold War prevented this guy from getting an Olympic medal, which he of course would have loved. It would have been his crowning achievement of his career, of his life, instead of this Gymkata movie. And then
so he was literally screwed over. That's so interesting. Yeah, like I didn't really think about it. He was screwed over by the Cold War and the US's stance in it.
Yeah, and so then he's like, I'm going to star in a movie where I'm an agent of the state. Of course, not him specifically, but I'm going to play a character who was a stand-in for him, basically. He was a CIA operative. He risks his life for a strategic military station. Like that's so. Yeah, that just goes to show, man. It doesn't matter if the geopolitical conflicts that your country engages in screws you out of winning an Olympic medal, which would be an incredible feat. You just star in a nice propaganda movie for them a few years later.
Yes.
So we thankfully we're getting to the bottom of Gymkata here. You won't see this review this take on in any other review apart from here. So I think we should be proud of ourselves. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm glad. I think we've really written a thesis statement here. So Cabot returns to the salt mine. However, he then finds out that his handler has betrayed him to the enemy. Luckily, the SIA arrives in the nick of time to save him, just like they always do. So this is the one where like he shoots a load of people, right? And then like a load of this is actually pretty cool, right? The people will get shot by an AK-47.
Yeah. This is they're still trying to do the whole James Bond shit, it's spy thriller, but that ends as soon as they get
shot is pretty cool.
Yeah, all that ends as soon as they get to Parmistan. But yeah, I just love such a great plot line. This guy who they've known for 5 minutes betrayed them, and that's it. And then we move on. Just no consequences. Great.
Who could have seen that coming? Finally, Cabot and Rubali use a raft, or raft if you like, to float down the river into Parmistan, where they are seized by Parmistan warriors, and after a fight, Cabot is knocked out, even though he used his unstoppable Gymkata fighting style. Yeah, I was going to say, this really does, like, the fact he just gets defeated kind of undercuts his abilities. It's also like, this feels like a very unnecessary action scene, which speaks to maybe the fact they weren't very comfortable in their ability to write anything remotely entertaining about having a bunch of people punching and kicking.
Yes, yes. Well, I wouldn't even say the action is that great, but outside the action, yeah, like you say, it's pretty shit. And I don't get it. Like they fight him, but then they don't kill him.
Yeah, they fight him, and then they're just like, "Yep, let's take him to bed." This is how they say hello. Cabot wakes up and is in the palace of Parmistan's ruler, known as the Khan. Yes, this is very confusing because you find out, like, not only is he in the palace, which is very nice, but also he's basically like a guest of the Khan, the person in charge. You're like, well, I guess that was extra pointless then.
Yeah, so he can't enter Parmistan, but is welcomed once he gets there. Is that it?
Like, I was gonna say it does make no sense at all.
Yeah, and maybe it's because of the princess, but why is there not any questions about, hey, why are you with the princess? Like, what were you doing with her? And the Khan doesn't care that a CIA operative is like in his country. And I mean, maybe he doesn't know, but I think it'd be somewhat clear the fact that how were you with my daughter? Where did my daughter go for the last few months?
Yeah. The other thing, like, here's my other beef. Like, it's really weird that there's a whole thing of, like, how did they get into the country? But simultaneously, it's implied that foreigners, implied, we literally see lots of foreigners competing in this. So this is like a tournament that foreigners compete in. And yet it's like, oh, we need to sneak you into the country to compete. Yeah, it's we need to sneak you into, like Qatar or whatever to participate in the World Cup. But it's the World Cup.
Yeah. It's like because the guy says you all risk your life to get in here. So like as long as you get in, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So it's just getting in, and we're gonna try and kill you. But once you've actually got into our borders, it's okay. Let's invite you to our palace.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, let's move on.
Yes. While waiting for the game to start, Cabot learns from Rubali that the king's right-hand man and manager of the game, Commander Zamir, is planning a coup and will attempt to sell the satellite rights to the enemy, and not the USA, as they'd never do something as unethical as pay off a corrupt regime for a strategic military advantage. Zamir also intends to marry Rubali to solidify his claim to the throne. Yes. So this is like, I guess you could call it a love triangle, but it's a very convenient love triangle in that she doesn't like Zamir, and her dad doesn't even like this custom whereby, he has to marry off to Zamir, and also, like, he does like Zamir, but at the same time, that's not really an issue because we know that Zamir's planning on doing a coup anyway. So basically, he only likes Zamir for a rational reason. So kind of like, this seems like this problem will probably solve itself at some point. That was like what I was thinking. I was like, this seems like this shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. Oh, you mean he doesn't like Zamir?
Yeah. Well, I would say the dad does like Zamir. Sorry. So the dad likes Zamir, but for completely no reason because yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's his right hand man, I guess. So he picked him. So I imagine he somewhat likes him.
Don't trust that. To keep your enemies closer.
Yeah, they like fucking Romani, whatever the fuck she's called. She says like,
she's not a gypsy, Luke.
Rubali, sorry, Rhubarb. Rhubarb. So yeah, Rhubarb says like, oh yeah, Zamir, if he ruled Parmistan, that would break it up, or that would divide the country. But why though? Why would it do that? I don't get it. Like, she doesn't give any reason. And I suppose that was something that would be explored in the novel. I get the sense that in the novel it's much more geopolitical. Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting that we literally spoke, in the conversation we had before we started recording, we mentioned the fact that films based on novels are usually better because they're more developed and they have, like, you can tell that there was an underlying blueprint. Like, I was very shocked to discover that this was based on a novel. I was like, okay, well.
Yeah. I know. I love that the princess says also that fucking Zamir is planning to make the games deadly and kill everyone. Like, so it's a tiny bit more deadly than normal. I
was going to say, I thought that was funny too.
He's planning to kill everyone. Oh, so instead of just leaving one person alive. Wow, that's shocking. What an evil guy. What a fucking evil guy. Oh, God. But I don't know why he'd care if, some fucking other person wouldn't, like Gomez.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, it's very weird because, like, the thing with the game is, like, the obstacles, okay, they're pretty bad, but the main thing that's, like, threatens to kill people is the guys there who are agents of the state trying to kill you. Like, there are ninjas. So essentially, this is just adding one extra guy to shoot at you. Yeah. So it's not even like, this is like some kind of jigsaw thing or like basically, or even like Squid Game, where a lot of the time there are challenges. Here, literally, the only challenge is that people are trying to kill you. So having a guy there trying to kill you, who cares?
They're gonna try and kill you extra hard.
How
awful. So yeah. Also, like, the first scene with the Khan, the king or whatever.
Yes.
Like, he's just casually talking to them. I thought I was so surprised when he's just like casually chatting to fucking Cabot and the rest of them. I was like, wait, this is the king? Like, is there no like build up? He's just there. He's just chilling with them. Okay, fine. Again, the production is horrific, and that was one of the biggest moments I noticed.
Cabot starts the game, but soon learns that Zamir won't play fair and breaks the strict rules of the game to try and kill Cabot. Meanwhile, the Khan's forces are beaten by Zamir's army in the coup attempt, which the Khan is tricked into believing is a set of security measures for his protection.
Like, this guy, he's just waiting to be cued. He's asking to be cued. Like, there are rulers.
Look at what he's wearing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we are getting into victim blaming here, but sometimes maybe the skirt is a bit too short. Sometimes
Yes.
that metaphor applies. But yeah, I do like how the fucking daughter's like all these guards are Zamir's guards, and they're trying to keep you in here. They're trying to imprison you, and he's like, "How can you say that?" And it's like, well, where are your guards then? Where are your guys?
Yes.
don't you normally have guards? Where are they?
Yeah,
Where have
just
they
like,
gone?
haven't you noticed they're all dead?
Yeah.
Like this is one of those things where like the coup isn't very well thought through, because you feel like if your whole plan it's literally, I mean, we did Revenge of the Sith before Lilo and Stitch, but yeah, we did Revenge of the Sith, and one of the things there is like, when your whole plan is just to trick people, really that shouldn't work, because eventually you're going to have them accept what you've done.
Yeah.
And like so therefore some point they're going to realize, like, actually, like, this guy's whole plan is to like have the Khan go along with it the whole time. Then she's going to work out what you're doing.
Yes.
Fighting many obstacles, including a sadistic participant named Thorg, who Cabot somehow knows but whose backstory is never explained. Cabot is the only player left in the game and is about to be killed by crazed, psychotic, retarded villagers. But thankfully, he uses a pommel horse right in the middle of the village to help him escape. Yes, it is very, very conveniently placed. I will say the one thing I liked is that, first of all, I actually think like that premise of there being a like kind of like a leper colony, but for the let's call them mentally insane. That's like a kind of like, I can imagine a context where that could be used as like an interesting idea for some kind of story. Like, you've got to survive in this asylum place.
But no, sorry, it's just very funny. It's like, you've survived all these obstacles. Now you will enter the village of the criminal retards.
Yeah, and it's really funny because they aren't that much of a threat. But it did remind me of like Resident Evil 4. Like, that's what I was thinking about when I was watching. I was like, oh yeah, it's like these crazy villagers gonna kill everyone.
Yeah, but like they're
not very dangerous. And like, you see this, like, what was the guy? Juan is dead. Gomez is dead. But it's just like,
okay, Juan. Wow, so that's very racist. No, but that's the thing. They're not like crazy. They're just like fucking, again, they've got like schizophrenia, and like they're walking around naked, and like it's just such a funny concept. And again, he's on his pummel horse. For some reason, there's a fucking pummel horse in the middle of this retarded village.
Yes, it's
that he's spinning around on. Oh god, it's great, man. This is one of the best parts of the movie. I love this part because it's so it's so fucking stupid. There should have been more of this kind of shit. It's just such a funny concept of an obstacle. It's you go down to the local, I don't know what they're not called, like insane asylums. What are they called?
I believe they can be called sanitariums, if you want to sound smart.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and all the people who are, in those rubber rooms, with the straight jacketed, and they're all trying to kill you. Yeah, what a great concept. And there's the Khan is meant to be a guy who we root for, but he allows this like the living conditions in this village must be fucking horrific. Honestly, like it must be an awful place to live. But yeah, he allows this village to be kept going because once a year, we're going to have some challenges run through and hope they don't get killed by, again, the psychotic retards who inhabit this insane village. What a great country Palmerston is.
Yeah, it's like that whole thing of like Tibet and how they actually, were basically like evil before China showed up.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Cabot is saved by a Parmesan warrior who turns out to be Cabot's father. His father explains that while playing the game, he fell, but was allowed by Palmerston warriors to live. As the two catch up, Zamir fires an arrow into Cabot's father. Yeah, so it's interesting, I guess. Like, it's very, like, if you think about it for a second, and like his father's mentioned, like, okay, yeah, it would make sense that he shows up.
So by the way, a very funny line of dialogue that Cabot says, because he escapes and then he says, I don't even know what's real anymore. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What a weird thing to say. Like, what do you mean you don't know what's real anymore? You signed up for this game.
It's not like a really like absurdist tournament or anything. It's like, it's pretty easy.
No. What I mean is everything was explained to you. There's nothing in what has happened that you should that should have been weird to you. That that was unexpected. You were told you were going to go through a crazed village. That's what's happened.
Right, a crazed village would be filled with crazed villagers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean you don't know what's real anymore? I think that obviously the reveal of his dad is very obvious and unexpected. Expected rather. I don't know why his dad thought he'd be there. It's like, son, I knew you'd become a CIA operative and come to Palmerston and compete in this game. and
Yeah.
almost risk your life. I knew that's what you'd eventually do, even though you had no knowledge of any of that apparently when I was in America. I'm your dad. I knew you'd eventually follow in my footsteps in this very specific niche path. I knew you'd do that instead of being a professional gymnast. You know, this is what all of us Cabots do. We have to compete in these games.
Yeah, like it's very weird that he would be like, hey, maybe I should, leave.
So yeah, let's review the thrilling ending now.
Yes. Cabot is able to make his horse jump a gorge and get away while only Zamir is brave enough to follow. Seeing that Zamir won't let him escape, Cabot decides to take him on, and after a prolonged fight, Cabot's Gymkata skills allow him to defeat Zamir. Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is actually a very stupid move from Zamir. He's set up this whole thing and been like, I'm going to do all this political maneuvering to organize my coup. And it gets to a situation where he can just be directly defeated by a guy who, is more skilled in this hand-to-hand combat, you would think, considering he's done so well in this tournament.
Yeah. Well, and the Gymkata, obviously the most deadly fighting style ever. Banned in 72 countries around the world. Because it's so deadly. Why would you go up against this guy? No, honestly, if you were Zamir, you've already broken the rules. You're trying to do a coup. Why wouldn't you just fucking get a gun? Why wouldn't you just bring a gun into the country and shoot whoever you want? Why wouldn't you do that if you're trying to fucking coup the king? Like, surely you'd do that. Coup the king. Surely you would do that. All of these rebels, they need to take a page out of Indiana Jones's book.
Yes, when he just shoots that guy.
Yeah, just shoots the guy. Like, oh yeah, all this fighting and Gymkata and hand-to-hand combat. No, just shoot someone. There you go, done, easy. But yeah, I think it's not a thrilling ending, to be honest. Despite what I said, it's kind of anticlimactic. Yeah, I think it is kind of anticlimactic, honestly.
Does he? Okay, this is gonna sound so stupid. Does he actually kill Samir?
Zamir, yeah, I think he does.
Zamir. Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember if he just got I don't know, pushed in the mud. Yeah, I can't actually remember how he dies. Does he get? Oh wait, no, he gets his neck snapped with the legs. Yes, okay, I do remember that.
In a very gay way. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, very gay. The power of the crotch. Meanwhile, Rubali finally.
Rubali.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Meanwhile, Rubicon mango juice finally convinces the retarded Khan that Zamir is plotting to overthrow the monarchy. Using their combined fighting skills, the princess in her traditional Palmerston catsuit outfit and the retarded Jewish Khan attack Zamir's men before encouraging the citizens of Palmerston to... When I say Palmerston, I make it sound like a little village in England. This is the town of Palmerston. To rise up and seize the rest. Yes, so... the advantage here is that all of the actual population likes him, which is a very good advantage to have if you're going to have a coup or be subject to one.
That is a great advantage. Everyone likes him, even though the country is still in the Middle Ages by the looks of things. And that's the thing. Oh, there's this line by the daughter earlier on in the movie where she says, "Oh, the Khan is going to announce a policy of a new era for Palmerston, which combines the traditions and also looking forward." It's basically a propaganda answer of what's Palmerston going to do? And then the fucking Cabot says, well, that seems intelligent, which I guess is a funny line.
This guy seems like a really good guy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So he's going to be a good guy, and yes, there's criticisms of Palmerston, but he's actually going to change in a couple of days, so we can't really criticize him for that. So we still want him.
It's the Wakanda thing.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So we still want him to win and him to survive the coup, but the retarded village will have to stay. Unfortunately, that will have to stay and remain.
Well, you can't that. It's important to have traditions.
It's a tradition. You can't get rid of the retarded village.
A villager cries out that a participant is approaching the finish line. As the villagers run to see who made it, Rubali is thrilled to see that Cabot is riding in on a horse, leading his father, who is still alive, on another horse. It would be so funny if it wasn't him who made it. It's okay, there was a real disconnect between the two plot points at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, why is his father still alive, by the way? Because here's the thing, I thought,
Yeah.
So Zamir has killed his father.
It's a revenge thing.
Yeah, he wants to take his girl. And also, obviously, he wants to coup, the country. And so he's an evil guy in general, not just personally to Cabot. So,
yes.
But no, his father doesn't even fucking die. It's like, why? He's like the fucking Black Knight of Monty Python,
Yes.
He's he got shot.
It's only a flesh wound.
Yeah, he got shot with an arrow twice, but he still survived. I thought for sure he died. He got shot in the back. Or he's dead, obviously. But no, somehow he's still alive. What's the point in him being alive? Surely, it's a tragedy that he just died. But no, for some reason he has to remain alive. So yeah, that's weird. But yeah, let's go on to the ending screen now, Michael.
Yes, okay. So, right. The crowd seizes on the champion, and as the movie ends, the audience is informed that in 1985, the first satellite monitoring station was installed. It's so matter of fact. Like,
Yes.
that's what I enjoy about it. It's not even like trying to be exciting.
Yeah, it's so abrupt. It's like, oh, you've forgotten all about why they did this. The monitoring station, because again, it was mentioned like so long ago. He's been through this traumatic ordeal and he's won and he's got the girl. And it's like, don't forget why this all really happened. So the US could install a satellite monitoring station in Palmerston. That's the real victory in all of this. America and Americans they can sleep soundly at night knowing that this satellite monitoring station is now in Palmerston. Of course, when we listen to the Cumtown review, Michael, remember what Stav said?
Yeah, what is he? Yeah, but I can't remember what he actually says he should wish for. It's something good, isn't it? He says he should wish for something.
No. Well, he says, so I imagine at the end of the movie there's a twist or something, and he doesn't actually wish for the satellite monitoring station. He wishes maybe to marry the Stav like doesn't say this, but you'd imagine, that's how the movie would end. He would wish to marry the princess. Sorry, not the prince, or maybe he would like to marry a prince now. He'd wish to marry the princess or something. That's what he'd like to do, instead of helping the US. But no, because it's just such a abrupt, matter of fact, again, propaganda-induced ending. It's like, no, he actually wished for the first satellite monitoring station in the US because he didn't forget his objective, because he's a good operative of the state. So yeah, that's just funny because it goes against what you'd expect from this kind of movie. Remember in the Chinese version of Fight Club, or not the Chinese version, the Fight Club, but that was released in China.
Yeah, and they did the thing where it was like, in the end, like the police are able to apprehend, what's his face?
Yeah, because in China you can't end a movie with the villains or the criminals winning. So therefore, Fight Club had to end with a message saying, don't worry, the criminals were apprehended and everything went smoothly, and they managed to piece stuff together, and Edward Norton was caught. It's kind of like this, and it's a different thing, but it's kind of the same sort of vibe with this thing. It's like, the satellite monitoring station, the geopolitics, the Cold War, the nuclear winter. That's we're reminded of that at the end when it should be a moment of triumph.
It's just like, it's so like because this whole movie, it kind of feels like almost romantic and like, in the sense of like, it's about ancient cultures and that kind of stuff.
And him winning over the girl at the end and beating the evil Zamir, the evil ethnic Zamir, and then it's like, don't forget why he was really here, because of the ongoing nuclear battle between the two world superpowers. Oh god, and it's so abrupt at the end as well, and it's such a shitty thing to wish for after you've done all that. So let's conclude. Michael, you go first.
Yes. So this movie is it is very silly. So the question I come back to is there anything about this that is like actually good? And I guess the answer is no. There are like some interesting premises, and actually like this movie could have been significantly more entertaining. As such, it failed. I guess the thing is, I will say this movie, it technically is still a movie, like it is still a movie where there is like the basics it gets right. There's an objective, there's like a villain, there's like a progression plot, and you understand what's happening very easily. So I'm actually, I guess I'm going to give this movie a low 2. I could even say a middling 2.
Okay.
I'm just thinking it is very bad. Maybe no, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe I'll say a middling 2. It is very bad. The thing is, I think there are like better movies that I've rated like a 3. But it's not. So the one would be like, it's not even like a movie at that point. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to give it a 3.5, but because of the US propaganda, it's going down to a 3. Well, the CIA induced US propaganda, but whatever. The point is, it's a stupid fucking movie. It's funny. But it is quite bad and shit at the same time. It's not, if it was really a case of it's so bad it's good, it would be higher. But, there's some fun moments. It's a 3 out of 10. There are definitely worse movies out there. So, Michael, it's time to, now we've looked at Gymkata, go back to our Lilo and Stitch Rotten Tomatoes predictions, because you thought it would get the 2025 version, of course. You thought it would get 65 on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it would get 76. And in actual fact, it got 73. So that means, of course, I was closer. I get 3 points added to my score. You get 8 points added to your score, which means that you are on a total of 34 now, Michael. Of course, the bigger number is worse. I am on a total of 17. So the gap grows by 5. So I'm winning by 17. I've got half the score you have. Let us now predict the Karate Kid Legends, the 2025 Karate Kid.
Okay. Do we know anything about this in terms of like who it's directed by?
No, we're going in blind.
All right. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, 72.
56.
Okay, wow. Right, damn. Okay, so you think it's going to be really bad.
Yeah, I keep banking on things being not so good, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I think 72. I think, it's going to be fine, but, not awful, but you think it's going to be quite bad. So, yeah, Michael, what are we reviewing next?
Next, we are actually reviewing the classic... Well, so the movie Rush. Now, I think I clarified this already. This is the 1991 movie Rush. Am I right? Because, there's more than one movie called Rush.
You're joking, right?
It's not the 1991 movie Rush, is it?
It's the fucking Formula One movie.
It's the fucking 2013 one, isn't it? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, I got it. I always get them confused though, Luke, because the thing is for ages, and they're almost the exact same length as well, because one of the things I write down...
Do you not know there's a fucking F1 movie coming out? No, you don't.
Oh, yeah, you told me because I asked you before, and you were like, oh, there's an F1 movie coming out. What's that?
So we're reviewing the fucking Formula One movie. That's what we're reviewing, because of the F1 movie.
It's going to be so boring.
Join us next week for Rush. Goodbye.
Goodbye.